Ghost Cult Magazine welcomes in the grim one, our old friend, the Necrosexual. How are you, my fiend?
I feel grim. Great to be here in my bedroom talking to you.
Where the magic happens.
Yeah, right. Heavy metal magic is in the air all around us.
And by magic, I mean like a Patrick Bateman style torture and magic and music.
Of course.
It was never hip to be square, by the way. Let's just put that out there. Not in 87, not in a novel, not in 91. Never. I love Huey Lewis, but it was never hip to be square. Yeah, man, great to catch up with you. Seeds of Seduction is the brand new EP coming out this week. And yeah, man, lots to unpack. So I wanted to just kind of first jump in, see how you're doing with all your grim fiendishness and everything, and then talk about this new EP recorded during everybody's worst year ever.
Yeah, the best year ever, though, for me. I mean, it was a hellacious new album that started in 2019, and it got to marinate in the heavy metal meat sauce throughout 2020. And now it's here in September 3rd, which also happens to be my 10-year anniversary as a performer since my very first Necrosexual encounter. So it's been one hell of a ride. And in terms of this new EP, Seeds of Seduction, it's a feast for the eyes. I think it has the album cover of the year, which prominently has a steak over my junk. And I can assure you that no steaks were wasted during the making of that album cover. And it's 3 songs of over-the-top thrash metal, speed metal, black metal madness, a whole lot of excess and riffs. And I hope it makes you all feel something deep in your hearts and maybe in your loins too.
I definitely felt something in my loins listening back to this and seeing the album cover is very arousing. I love the chains and the meat. What a metaphor for life and death and sex and everything else. And you kind of out Manowar, which I'm always a fan of.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I feel you got to go over the top, go big or go home. And if you can make Manowar look small in comparison, I'm all about it.
Exactly. And they deserve that. And I mean that. But yeah, man, great work on this. And now, so just to clarify, because I had the full version to listen to. You have a couple of tracks that are cassette only.
Yeah.
Special in a very old school way. And then you have the 3 core tracks. So let's talk about the choices there about those extra tracks.
Yeah. Well, we were able to find one of the best labels out there today in terms of underground extreme music, Folkvanger Records. They put out some records I really dug in the past couple of years, like Dumal or Lamp of Murmur. And they took a real chance on the grim one because I'm a bit more of a speedy metal, a little comedy approach, whereas their stuff tends to be more brooding and serious black metal. So I do appreciate that. But yeah, we wanted to keep it cult. And we have this cassette coming out limited to 100 copies. And so I wanted to put a little extra sauce for the people that took the chance to get a physical record. And so on our B-side, we have a remaster of one of my old songs, Dead Sexy, which has been so deliciously retouched by Joel Grind, as well as a brand new song, The Grim Hymn. And that was originally going to be like an introduction song to the whole album, but I figured it would be better to just kind of leave that as a bonus track. So yeah, for those that are feeling brave, I implore you to get this limited edition 100 cassette run from Folkvanger, and then you can hear those treats.
Right on. Joel is a beast. He was actually my last in-person interview before the virus plague that wrecked the world.
Yeah, good dude. Does a great job behind the knobs as well. So it was really cool to have him master. And he also mastered the A side, the 3 songs of the EP as well. So you can hear the toxic sauce all over the place.
Indeed. Joel has fantastic ears on top of being a dynamic and incredible musician and frontman. He is in demand as a remixer and a remasterer now, which is really awesome for him.
Yes.
But yeah, man, these tracks are awesome. I got to single out your vocals across this whole thing as my favorite vocals ever from your project here. And they're just so in the pocket. And I love just the range you show here and terrific scream, the classic Araya, early Slayer, Venom, just kind of bordering on ridiculous, but incredible at the same time.
Yeah, nailed it. Well, that's a high compliment. I thank you for that. And yeah, of course, Tom Araya from Slayer, that was like the first really extreme album I ever heard when I was like 14 years old. And he did have back in the day, like up until like South of Heaven, he used to hit those high notes and then he just stopped. So I try to continue that tradition and add my own signature sauce to it as well. And I think you can hear it on the album. It's kind of all over the place. I looked for inspiration in other places besides metal, like cartoons and movie characters and stuff. And a lot of it was just sort of getting in that state of mind in the recording booth and letting the necromania run wild. Because in the past, people would say like, "Oh, this guy's a joke," or the screaming is stupid. So I just wanted to just take that energy and go even bigger with it. And that's the result that you hear on that record.
There you go. If you don't have haters, you're doing it wrong.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's like I try to be, there's nobody else that really sounds like me. Of course, I have my influences in other areas. People see somebody with corpse paint and falsettos, and of course, they're going to make a King Diamond comparison, which is fine by me. But I think I have my own technique as well. I hit notes and do techniques that other people don't do. So it's a character. It's got a vocal character that's narrating this whole record, and that's me, baby.
That's it, right? And I think people don't, if they don't get it, then it's not for them. Right. Yeah. And if they get it, they usually love it.
Yes. Yeah. I'd say that's a really good ratio, 50-50. You either love it or hate it, but I'd rather be extremely polarizing where the people that love me completely love me, rather than a lot of bands out there I feel are supremely mediocre. They're safe. They're like 70%. They're safe. And with me, it's you either get it or you don't.
There's your quote right there, blabbermouth. Go for it.
Yeah.
Have at it. And yeah, man, I agree. Actually, I think there's a lot of safe people out there, and real true artistry and real true success begins when you jump out of your comfort zone and you push boundaries and you do the uncomfortable. That makes you better.
Yeah. Wear the steak on your junk. See how it makes you feel. Probably a little bit uncomfortable.
It looked like a well-seasoned steak, to be honest. I love the photograph. If you want to shout out the artist, and we'll link that artist wherever we can here in the description.
Yeah, of course. That was done by the smut extraordinaire and Renaissance man, Chris Kuntz, or at Chris K Photography on the internet. But he's a dude that does a lot of erotica and burlesque, but he has helped me out in the past. And that was just one of those happy little accidents where that's me wearing the steak, and we were trying to go for more of like a black metal portrait, but he ended up snapping that iconic photograph, and it was just too good not to use. It's like instantly just it's sizzled into your brain when you see it, whether you're aroused or horrified. You see it once and it's there, baby. And I have to say, it ended up being my dinner that night. So it wasn't wasted, but it was marinated a little bit in me.
Well, that'll lead to a further question in a little bit. But I also wanted to talk about the music here, because, music also matters a lot with you. And I just out of curiosity, because I know you're kind of a multi-instrumentalist and a jack of all trades and skills. When you go to write, do you pick up the guitar first? Do you pick up the bass first? Is it whatever's in your head or heart?
Yeah, it depends. A lot of it, I think for this record, a lot of the songs I wrote on guitar first. So I tend to play guitar like a lead instrument, or I tend to play guitar like a rhythm instrument, and then I play the bass kind of like more of a lead instrument. So I fill in the yin and the yang that way. But on this album, it's all of my guitar playing. We have, of course, the Vigo, Anthony Vigo Gabriel doing a lot of the lead guitar solos, but there's also like songs like Screaming for the Steam and Demon Seaman. That's all of my guitar work and bass work. So that's 100% me on the strings. So yeah, the riffs are plentiful.
Yeah, you do have a killer band with you. Is this like, I know it's been kind of your project plus others, but would you say this is a really good definitive lineup for the group right now? Is this the group that's going to play out eventually?
Yeah, I mean, we did a show at the end of July with that same lineup, and it was probably our sickest show ever. With the Necrosexual, it is a cult of character. So there have been times where I've gone on the road and with different drummers and different guitarists, and I'll always find a way to make it work. But I think that it's certainly an iconic lineup on this album, and we'll see what the future holds.
Right on. And as a fiend that yells into a stick for a living and talks at people in close proximity, how did you feel at the July show, and how will you feel now going forward for future shows in this crazy time?
Yeah, I mean, it was cathartic and probably the sickest mosh pits we've ever had. I think that across the board, people are happy to come back and have an outlet again. And, I got my shot. I'm ready to rock. We got our vaccinations and everything with moving forward. A lot of venues on the East Coast are doing like the vaccine card. So I guess that's like the safest thing we can do right now. But yeah, it definitely felt cathartic. We filmed a lot of that show for one of my upcoming music videos. It's going to be premiering in hopefully a few months when I get around to editing it. So there will be some dispatches of that captured for posterity.
Nice work. I feel like all of the history of thrash, death metal, and black metal kind of wish, like, look, I wouldn't wish this shit on my worst enemy, but I also feel like we kind of conjured this shit into existence a little bit, didn't we?
I guess. I mean, it made people hopefully appreciate the arts more and appreciate just being able to be in a dingy dive bar, crammed with your friends, drinking beer, watching a live band. And that's what the scene's all about. That's what the magic of having people together to experience something is all about. And especially in Brooklyn and in New York City, I know you were based there for a long time. And I was born in New York City. My grandmother's basement, where I spent a lot of time in the necrosexual state of mind, is in Jackson Heights. And I'll tell you what, I've gone to some shows in New York City, the birthplace of heavy metal, or one of the birthplaces of punk, one of the birthplaces of hardcore. And I'm a little bit let down because you got a bunch of hipsters just standing around with their arms crossed. And you would never know that this is the place where CBGB's was born, with so many legendary circle pits happened. So I hope that we get back to that now that everyone has had to sit on their asses and really think about like what they've lost and what they miss. Let's get together and rock the fuck out.
That's beautiful, man. Jackson Heights was the home of one of my favorite places of all time, Castle Heights, probably a little before your time.
I've heard about that. Yeah.
It was a legendary place. I was witness to seeing the cops raid it. I saw Mastodon there open for total fucking destruction before they were famous. Like, it was nuts, that place.
Yeah, I missed out apparently. But,
well, I'm just old, so it's not that I'm cooler. I'm old. So I saw all the shit because I was here. But I
also have to say, sorry, not to cut you off, but Brutal Truth recorded their first demo. It has their address on the demo, the Birth of Ignorance demo. It's like literally around the corner from my grandmother's house. So it's like, holy shit, small world.
That's crazy. Yeah, man. I'm like, metal is like AA. We'll take you whenever. Like, come on in. If you're having a rough time, come on in.
Yeah.
And then honestly, metalheads and people, fans of extreme music or punk hardcore metal, whatever, like, it's usually not a fair weather casual. Like, I was into it for a summer and then I forgot about it. Like, almost never. It's always like you get that thing imprinted on you, like that Satan seal burned into your flesh, and you never leave.
Yeah, you become a lifer for sure. And there were times when I was in my, college years or very early 20s where I got away from metal a little bit, and I thought, I came back to it. So there is some real honesty in that. When that spark is lit as an adolescent teenager, in my case, then there was some real truth there. So your life.
What was the thing that lit that spark? Was it a particular band or a sound?
Yeah,
or a song?
No, like Slayer, Rain and Blood, got that CD for my 14th birthday, and just like the first Angel of Death just blew my mind, and that was it. Like, I had listened to Metallica, like, I was prior to Slayer, I was like, of course, Metallica, the gateway band of all gateway metal bands, and I was all about them, but I wanted to get into something heavier, and that was Slayer. And I think that was Slayer that really like was an evolution of speed and they kind of just set me down that path even faster than I was already heading. So that's it, baby. That was the stuff heavy metal memories and heavy metal hard-ons are made of.
Exactly, man. So so you have this EP, and you've been pretty prolific actually for this. You mentioned prior to starting 10 years of necrosexualism, and you've been very prolific. Are you already working on like the next thing? Are you envisioning the next wave, or are you just kind of riding with this that's just coming out this week?
Yeah, of course. I have songs that I've written, probably a full length worth of new material. That some of it's new, like within the last couple of weeks, some of it's new within the last year. So yeah, I'm really stoked to record the next batch of stuff. I feel like if it is a full length, it's got to be like a proper, really loud, lasting statement. And it's going to be across the board, from everything from like rock and roll kind of anthems to the more speedy, thrashy black metal stuff, and then like a fusion of both. So I'm really excited to, whenever that time comes, get back in the studio and lay down some more jams.
Awesome, dude. I'm so excited. And yeah, like I said, I want people to go get this thing. I would say there's nothing more grim or evil than a broken cassette tape, but we're not rooting for that to happen here. I'm kind of, amused and pleased that cassettes have made an equal comeback, nearly not quite to the comeback of vinyl, which is more surprising, but like a cassette tape, what could be more grim than the threat of being broken at any second?
Yeah, I mean, I love CDs. I grew up with CDs. That was for me. You can take CDs on your car, not so much with some cars have cassette players still, but I feel like it's a lot more accessible. But there was that article a few weeks ago saying like, oh, maybe CDs are going to make a comeback now because vinyls and cassettes are becoming so like time prohibitive to make and material prohibitive. But for this one, it did feel good. My last couple releases were CDs, so I did want to do something on the cassette medium. And I think for 3 songs with the B-side, it really lent itself to that experience. And we found a great partner, a conspirator and folkvanger to, want to do it. So that's the way it'll be. There might be a CD in the future, but for now we just have a cassette run and we'll take it from there.
Right on. You've also done very well at digital, without getting into numbers or whatever, but I've always been impressed with your band, Bandcamp and merch and stuff. You're just very great at expressing the necrosexual on every medium, which is, expressing yourself on all these things and all over these things.
Expressing yourself is totally cool.
Exactly. That's what Madonna said. I still believe it. I love to wind these, interviews up with a wild card question. So if you had to have 3 guests to come over, either to eat for dinner or to eat dinner with, who would you choose?
Yeah, that is a hard one. I would say Lars Ulrich, just because it's easy to give Metallica a lot of shit, but they were still like my first band that I lost my heavy metal virginity to. And the guy likes to talk, put on Motorhead, put on some like new wave of British heavy metal. We'll forget all about Saint Anger and we'll just talk about the classics. And I think that would be like super entertaining. In terms of the other ones for dinner, oh man, I'd say Tom G. Warrior, because he's a contemplative figure. It would have to be vegan, which I'm cool with. We can eat vegan. And he's somebody you can talk about art with and talk about many I feel like subjects. He'd be like a real kind of like Renaissance person to have as a guest. And as for a third, I feel like I gotta go with Doro Pesh because it's the fucking metal queen,
I have interviewed 2 of those 3 and they're all awesome and I would love to have them for dinner. Now the ultimate bonus round, if you had to fuck, marry, kill, Lars, Tom G, and Doro, all respect included, who would your fuck, marry, kill be?
I say this respectfully. The F would be with Doro because she's a lifer. She's not married. She's married to her band. Like she's pretty upfront about that. So I respect that. I would marry Tom because he seems like he'd be a very good partner to have, and I would unfortunately kill Lars because I feel like hopefully I get a little bit of that inheritance money.
That notoriety would be through the roof, son. And with all love and respect, I just interviewed Doro, and I cannot believe the fountain of youth this lady has, vocally or physically. She's gorgeous still, like it was the 80s. I don't know what spell she cast or whatever. She actually doesn't party. I think she left all that shit behind a long time ago, and she is pretty straight edge from what I understand, which is amazing. So like her and Dolly Parton are just going to be fucking immortal.
Also, her bass player gave me lessons as a teenage necrosexual, Nick Douglas, who also looks great for his age. So yeah, there's something in the witch's cauldron, I guess.
To deal with the devil, son, like the in blood. I don't know. They don't age. I don't know what.
Yeah, she looks good.
Yeah, man. So that was fantastic. Necrosexual, man. So great to chat with you once again. Seeds of Seduction, the beautifully titled new EP from Necrosexual, coming out this week. Again, we're going to link all this stuff in the description where to find you. You have been just a pleasure to have as a guest here, and I just greatly appreciate you.
Yeah, keep it grim, baby.
Chef's kiss. I love it.
See you in hell.